Olivia Reed was just settling into the predictable rhythm of her night shift at the hospital. The scent of antiseptic, a familiar comfort. The steady beeping of monitors, a background hum. When her phone vibrated with a number she didn't recognize. It bore the area code of the resort where her parents and sister, Brooke, were supposedly vacationing with her 8-year-old daughter, Lily, typically. Unknown calls waited until her break, but a cold dread instantly settled in her stomach, a primal whisper that told her to answer immediately, as if the invisible thread connecting her to Lily was screaming an emergency, the polite, tight voice on the other end. Sarah, from the beachside hotel reception, confirmed Olivia's worst fear with a single sentence. "Your daughter is here and would like to speak with you." Olivia's world tilted, irrevocably changed in that moment. Before I dive into my story, I'd really appreciate it if you could let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean the world to me and help me keep sharing more stories like this. Thank you so much for being here. The shuffle on the line was brief, followed by Lily's small voice, struggling to sound brave. "Mommy, I'm here." My heart hammered against my ribs. "What happened?" I asked, my voice oddly calm despite the internal tremor. "They went on a boat. They locked the door." Each word was a tiny shard of glass, embedding itself deeper. "What do you mean, lock the door?" I pressed, the calmness in my voice a fragile shield. Lily explained, her words a child's simple truth. "They said it wasn't for little kids. Grandma said I was naughty earlier." The sting of that accusation echoed through her innocent voice, twisted my gut. "They left. I couldn't get water. It's really hot." My mind raced, picturing my little girl in a stifling room, alone. "You're with the front desk now?" I asked. "Yes," she confirmed. "Stay there. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming." My conversation with the receptionist after Lily ended was quiet. Hushed tones confirming the lack of food or water. The alarming warmth the housekeeping staff had noted. They promised to keep Lily safe until I arrived. My mouth tasted metallic, a bitter tang of fury and betrayal. I started calling, my mom's voicemail, my dad's voicemail, Brooke's voicemail. Each unanswered ring was a fresh stab of frustration. "Where are you? Why is Lily alone? Call me now," I texted, my fingers flying across the screen. Finally. Brooke picked up, her voice tinged with a whine, laughter echoing in the background. "Hey, we're just boarding." "Where is my daughter?" I demanded, the calmness I'd maintained with Lily now fracturing. "She's at the hotel. She'll be fine," Brooke replied, her tone dismissive. There wasn't enough space on the boat, and it's not really for 8-year-olds. Plus, she was acting up earlier. Mom said she needs to learn boundaries. The casual cruelty of her words ignited a cold fire within me. "You locked her in a hot room without water," I stated, flat and disbelieving. "She's exaggerating. Relax. You're being dramatic." Brooke scoffed before abruptly hanging up. I grabbed my bag, mumbled something to my charge nurse about an emergency, and was in my car before the elevator even reached the ground floor. The drive was a 2-hour blur of white lines and worst-case scenarios playing on repeat in my mind. Every mile cemented the stark realization that there was no coming back from this. This was the final, irreversible break. When I walked into the hotel lobby, Lily was a small, blotchy-cheeked figure in a plush armchair, her legs swinging idly. She launched herself into my arms, clinging to me as if she wanted to stay there forever. "You did everything right, sweetie," I murmured, holding her tight. The receptionist gave me a tight, knowing nod. "Thank you," I said to her, a genuine gratitude for her kindness. "Did anyone say when they'd be back?" I asked Lily, pulling back slightly to look at her. "They said later, and not to touch anything." I checked my phone. No calls, no texts. I opened my banking app, and my breath hitched. A pending charge, large enough to make my chest tighten, pulsed on the screen. It wasn't for lunch or snacks or anything reasonable for a child. This was the boat trip, the one Lily wasn't even on. My voice remained even, a testament to the iron control I was exerting. "Could you print me the folio for this room?" I asked the receptionist. She glanced at her screen, then nodded. While the printer hummed, my phone buzzed with a text from my mom. "Stop being ridiculous. She was safe. Learn to control your child." Safe. Locked in a hot hotel room with nothing to eat or drink. Their version of safe had always been a twisted mirror of mine. The receptionist slid the paper across the counter. A neat list of charges. One of them massive, tying a knot in my stomach. I didn't need to study it. I knew exactly what it was. I folded it once and slipped it into my bag, then sat back down next to Lily. She leaned against me, watching the lobby with wide eyes, as if it might vanish if she blinked. I pulled out my phone again. My hands didn't shake, not anymore. I opened what I needed to open, tapped where I needed to tap, and made the call I should have made hours, even years ago. Lily tilted her head, watching me. "What are you doing, Mommy?" she whispered. "Fixing it," I replied. Simply, we stayed by the window. The ocean bright and loud outside, people passing with beach bags and sunburns, oblivious to the quiet storm brewing within. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't answer. "Are we going home?" Lily asked quietly. "Soon," I said, putting my arm around her. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need another argument or another excuse. I had already set something in motion. And somewhere. The countdown had begun. If you'd asked me a week ago, I would have told you my family was normal. Not perfect, of course. No one's perfect, but normal enough. I grew up the younger of two sisters. Brooke is 4 years older. And when you're a kid, that gap feels like a lifetime. My mom and dad never explicitly said they wanted just one child, but sometimes, especially when I was young, it felt like they had. And I was the add-on they hadn't budgeted for. I never said that out loud, not even to myself. Back then, I convinced myself it was just my imagination. Because how do you tell yourself your own parents might not want you? You don't. You tell yourself they're busy, or tired, or it's just an age thing. You explain away the times they take your sister to the movies and leave you at home because it's 12 and up. You excuse the weekends she gets special trips, older kid stuff. While you spend yours with a babysitter, you learn to believe the official story. When you're older, you'll get to do those things, too. Except, somehow, when you're older, never really came, and I told myself that was fine because if I started thinking it wasn't fine, I might start thinking they didn't like me. And that was a door I didn't want to open. So I didn't open it. I kept showing up for family dinners, holidays, birthdays. I kept the machine running because they were my family. And if you only get one set of parents, you don't throw them away over a gut feeling you can't prove. Fast forward to adulthood. I became a mom myself, a single mom. Lily's dad wasn't really in the picture from the start. In those first years, it felt like I was always one late bill away from disaster, always trying to cover a shift and still make it to bedtime stories. I'm a nurse, so I work nights, weekends, whatever I could get to make ends meet. Eventually, things got easier. I got a promotion. I started making enough to not panic every time I opened my banking app. I learned to live carefully, to save, to keep a cushion. But when it came to Lily, I didn't mind spending. She's the one place I never felt like I had to measure the cost. My mom and dad knew that. They've always known it. And sometimes I think they leaned on it, because even when they'd offer to help with Lily picking her up after school, taking her for a weekend, there was always this undercurrent. If we go somewhere, you'll pay for her, right? If she needs tickets, meals, activities, you can cover it. You earn more than us. Always framed like it was just logical, sensible. But it was never lost on me that I'd never heard them say the same thing to Brooke. And speaking of Brooke, if you want to know what the golden child looks like in adulthood, you could just watch her for 10 minutes. My parents adored her kids. Chloe and Mason, they spoiled them rotten. Every visit turned into a parade of gifts and trips. With Lily, it was different. Less attention, fewer invitations. And when I'd noticed it, truly noticed it, I'd told myself it was just in my head. I told myself that right up until this trip, the vacation had been their idea. 2 hours away, beachside hotel. They knew I couldn't get time off work that week. My schedule is like clockwork. And they knew the weeks I was locked in. But they insisted Lily should go anyway. It'll be good for her, they'd said. She'll get quality time with her grandparents and cousins. And I believed them, because even if I had questions about how they treated me, I wanted to believe they'd treat Lily differently, that she'd be safe with them. I paid for her share of the hotel, gave them my card so they wouldn't have to cover her food or activities. I thought I was doing the right thing. Sitting there in that hotel lobby with Lily next to me, the air conditioning blasting a chilly comfort. I looked down at my phone and saw the charge for the boat trip. Expensive. More than expensive. And Lily wasn't even on it. That was the moment it all lined up. Not just the boat, not just the locked room, all of it. The years of not enough space and you're too young and maybe next time. The weekends I was left behind as a kid, the way Lily quietly gets sidelined now. The excuse that always sounded just plausible enough. Except this time, it wasn't an excuse, it was a locked door, a hot room, no food, no water, and a bill with my name on it. Something in me went very still. Not rage. I'd had that already. Simmering for years, this was colder, clearer. I looked at Lily swinging her legs on the lobby chair like it was any other day at a beach hotel. For everyone else here, maybe it was, but for me, it was the last day I was going to pretend this was normal. So I made the call. The call I should have made years ago, the one I'd been too afraid to even imagine. I called the police. The dispatcher's voice was steady, practiced. Mine was too. Somehow, I told her my daughter, Lily, who is 8 years old, had been left locked in a hotel room in the summer heat with no food or water while the rest of the family went on an all-day outing. I gave her the room number, the hotel name, and stated that we were in the lobby. She said officers were on the way. I sat with Lily and waited. Every minute felt longer than the last. The kind of waiting where you hear the hum of the air conditioning and the tap of your own pulse at the same time. When the police finally walked in, the air in the lobby changed. Not dramatically, no flashing lights, just 2 officers in uniform. Officer Chen and Officer Rodriguez, calm and steady. But suddenly, everyone in the lobby found a reason to glance at their phones, to avoid eye contact. I stood. "I'm the one who called," I said. They sat me down and asked what happened. I told them plainly. Lily is 8 years old. She was locked in that room for hours in the heat with no food or water. The rest of the family had gone out for the day. Officer Chen turned to the receptionist. "Housekeeping found her when they came by." The receptionist confirmed. "She said she was alone and upset and asked to call her mom. We brought her down here." Hearing it spoken out loud by someone else, a third party, made my chest tighten. It wasn't just my version of events anymore. It was fact. They wrote it down. Then, I showed them my phone with the pending charge for the boat trip. "They paid for this with my card," I said, my voice quiet, and she wasn't even there. Officer Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "And the others, where are they now?" "On the boat," I said. "They should be back soon." The officers decided to wait. We sat there, Lily and I on the lobby couch, 2 officers posted near the entrance. I felt strangely calm. Not happy, not relieved, but calm in the way you get when there's nothing left to hide and no way for them to pretend it didn't happen. About 40 minutes later, they walked in, my mom first, then my dad, then Brooke with Chloe and Mason in tow, sunburned, sunglasses perched on their heads, still smelling like salt water and sunscreen. The laughter died instantly when they saw the uniforms. "Can we help you?" My mom asked Officer Chen, her tone pure, haughty authority. "Were you the guardians responsible for Lily Reed today?" Officer Chen asked. "Yes," my mom said, but before she could finish, Brooke cut in, impatient. "She was fine. It was only a few hours. You're making a big deal out of nothing." "She was locked in a room without food or water," I said, my voice flat, unyielding. "It was hot." My dad shrugged, dismissively. "It wasn't that hot. She's exaggerating." Officer Rodriguez glanced at Lily, then back at them, her gaze unblinking. Would you leave your own children like that? Brooke didn't even hesitate. Of course not. We'd never do that to our kids. The silence that followed was heavy enough to touch. I looked straight at her, my eyes holding hers. So, you admit you treat my daughter differently? Brooke rolled her eyes, a gesture of exasperation. She's spoiled. Our kids know how to behave. That was it. You could see the subtle shift in the officer's posture, that small, invisible line they'd been waiting to see crossed. Officer Chen stepped away, radio in hand. I didn't hear every word, but I caught enough child protective services and protective custody. My mom's head snapped toward him, her face paling. What is this about, ma'am? She demanded. Officer Rodriguez said. We'll need you to wait here while we coordinate with Child Protective Services. Brooke scoffed, loud enough for the whole lobby to hear. This is ridiculous overreacting. Officer Rodriguez didn't even look at her. Please take a seat. Lily pressed herself into my side. I kept my hand on her shoulder, my eyes on the sliding glass doors at the front of the lobby. I wasn't sure what exactly was coming next, but I knew it wasn't going to be the quiet, polite wrap-up they were expecting. The radio call ended. Officer Chen came back, murmured something to his partner, and both of them moved to stand between my family and the exit. My mom opened her mouth to argue again, but Officer Rodriguez's voice was calm, firm. You need to remain here until CPS arrives. This is non-negotiable. Brooke folded her arms and leaned back in the chair like she was the one inconvenienced. My dad kept muttering under his breath, but I didn't bother to catch the words. I glanced at the reception desk. Sarah was arranging a stack of brochures, pretending not to listen, but her eyes kept flicking toward Lily. If she had an opinion about what was happening, and I was sure she did, she was too professional to say it. Lily whispered, Are we going to leave soon? Yes, I said, we are. Brooke started up again, her voice rising in desperation. She's fine. She wasn't in danger. We do this all the time. Officer Rodriguez cut her off, her tone clipped. You leave your own children in locked rooms all the time? Brooke froze, her mouth agape. My mom jumped in, flustered. No, not ours. Just... I finished her sentence, my voice quiet but firm. Just mine. No one answered that. The lobby doors slid open, and 3 CPS workers walked in with clipboards in hand. For a second, nobody moved. The officers straightened a little. My mom's mouth fell open mid-sentence, and Brooke sat forward like she'd been hit with a bucket of cold water. The only sound was the whoosh of the air conditioning. I stayed where I was on the couch, Lily pressed against my side, watching. The workers introduced themselves, their voices calm, steady. Professional, the kind of voices you want when everything else is falling apart. Then they split, one toward me, the other 2 straight to my family. I didn't hear every word, but Brooke wasn't exactly whispering. Her voice carried across the lobby, sharp and desperate. She's fine. She wasn't in danger. We do this all the time. Officer Rodriguez, whom I'd been watching earlier, cut in again, his tone clipped. You leave your own children in locked rooms all the time. Brooke stammered. No, not them. Just mine, I said again. Not loudly, but loud enough for everyone to hear. No one answered. The CPS worker near me, a kind-faced woman named Agent Miller, crouched down so she was eye level with Lily. Hi, sweetheart, I'm Dana. You're safe now. You did the right thing by telling someone. Lily looked up at me, waiting for my nod before she said anything. I nodded. Then Agent Miller straightened and turned to me. Thank you for calling this in. We're going to make sure every child here is safe. It should have been comforting. Instead, it felt like my stomach dropped through the floor. Because as furious as I was, as betrayed as I felt, this was still my family. Watching strangers take over felt surreal. Like I'd been living in a bad dream and had just now realized I wasn't going to wake up. Across the room, one of the other workers, a tall man with glasses, was speaking firmly to my mom. She was trying every line she'd used on me my entire life. She was fine. You're overreacting. This is ridiculous. Except this time, nobody was nodding along. Then came the words that silenced the room. "We're placing these children in protective custody." Brooke shot to her feet. Her face contorted in disbelief. "You can't just take my kids." But they could, and they did. The workers gathered Brooke's kids, speaking softly to them while Brooke's voice broke into tears and shouts. My dad muttered something about families sticking together, but his voice sounded small for the first time in my life. Chloe and Mason were led toward the door, their small backpacks dangling from their shoulders. Still sniffling, I didn't move. Lily didn't move. We just watched them go, and as awful as it was to see, I also knew this was the first time anyone had ever truly told my family no. The hotel manager, Mr. Harrison, appeared not long after. He didn't look angry, just utterly done. "Your booking is terminated," he told my parents and Brooke, his voice flat. "We don't allow child endangerment on our property." Brooke sputtered. "You can't. It's already arranged." "Staff will help you collect your belongings, Mr. Harrison stated, cutting her off minutes later. I watched as bellmen carried their suitcases down one by one under police supervision. The bags landed on the floor with dull thuds, the sound of endings. Guests whispered behind their hands, staring. My mom's cheeks burned red, and for once, she had no words. One of the officers came over to me quietly. "We'll need to keep those receipts and charges you showed us. They'll be entered into the report." I handed them over. He lowered his voice even more. "There may be fraud charges. We'll see what the DA wants to do." I nodded, understood. And then I did the one thing I hadn't been able to do all day. I walked out of there with my daughter. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Brooke. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. "You evil! You got my kids taken away!" she screamed before I could even say hello. "No, Brooke," I said evenly, calmly. "You got your kids taken away when you left mine locked in a hotel room with no food or water." "You don't understand," she wailed. "I understand perfectly," I said, and hung up. The calls didn't stop. First my mom, then my aunt, then cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Some were furious, some just fishing for gossip. But I gave the same answer every time. A simple, unshakable truth. They left Lily locked in a room. CPS got involved. That's it. And most of them, after a beat of silence, said, "Oh, because there's not much you can argue with after that." By evening, I saw the social media post. Brooke had dug up a picture of her and the kids on some picnic and wrote about being betrayed by family and losing everything because of lies. The comments started off sympathetic, but it didn't take long. Someone, I still don't know who, wrote, "Didn't you leave your niece alone in a hotel room?" After that, the tide turned fast. People she thought would defend her didn't. By the time I clicked away, her post was a public spectacle of condemnation. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt tired. About a week later, the call came again. This time, Brooke's voice was different, frantic. "Daniel has the kids. CPS released them to him, and now he's filing for full custody. Do you understand I'm going to lose them?" I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. "He's their father. Brooke, where else did you think they'd go?" "They were supposed to come back to me," she cried, her voice breaking. "Now they're saying I might only get visitation." "You need to talk to your lawyer," I said quietly. She kept ranting, blaming me, blaming CPS, blaming everyone but herself. I let her talk until I couldn't anymore. "Brooke, you treated my daughter like she didn't matter. This is what happens when you do that." She sobbed something I couldn't make out, and hung up. It's been 6 months now. The custody case isn't fully finalized, but Brooke's kids are living with their dad, Daniel. What used to be a neat 50-50 split after the divorce is now him, as the primary parent and her seeing them when the court allows it. At first, I thought maybe it was just CPS's recommendation carrying weight in court. Then came the part I didn't see coming. Lily came home from school one afternoon and said almost casually, "I saw Chloe and Mason today. They said they live with their dad now. They told me they wanted to. That stopped me cold. It wasn't just the system or their dad pushing for custody. The kids themselves had said it. They told Lily straight out that what happened at the hotel was messed up, their exact words. And that after it, they didn't want to live with their mom and grandparents anymore. Hearing it from them, through Lily at school, of all places, felt like the ground shifting under me. For years, I thought I was the only one who saw the cracks, the only one who felt left out and less than. Turns out, even the golden children saw it once the mask slipped. The money part ended up settling itself, too. I filed a dispute with my bank, and the charges were reversed. From what I heard later, the hotel turned around and billed my parents and Brooke directly. For once. They had to pay for their own luxury. Not me. I've gone completely no contact with them. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I can't let Lily grow up thinking neglect and favoritism are just part of family life. I excused it for too long. I won't let her do the same. And here's the strange part. I feel lighter, happier. Like I finally put down something I didn't realize I'd been dragging around since childhood. The wider family mostly sided with me. Aunts, cousins, even the older generation. Once the story came out, people admitted they'd noticed it. Too. The favoritism, the little digs, the way Brooke and her kids were always held above everyone else. Suddenly, I wasn't the sensitive one anymore. My parents and Brooke are the outsiders now. Do I feel sad? Sometimes it's hard to admit your own parents can't be trusted with your child. But then I look at Lily. She's thriving. She laughs more. She's free of that constant comparison I grew up under.